Thank you for joining us, everyone. I'm Tammy Field. Greg is on assignment. Here are your top stories in weather in 90 seconds.
Our job market remains historically strong.
The White House is confident in the current state of the economy despite a decline in GDP for 2 consecutive quarters. President Joe Biden is pointing to a strong labor market and urged Congress to help combat inflation. The search is on for monkeypox vaccines. The Florida Department of Health says they are only handing them out to those who have been identified as a close contact of someone with the virus. Those who are high risk are waiting for updated guidelines. It is time to double check your voter information to make sure that it's up to date. A Florida statute says supervisor of elections offices are not allowed to tell you if any of your information is out of date. It could stop you from voting in the primaries. Be sure to stop by your county's office and look over your information. Right now, it's time to look over the forecast and see what's happening this evening. Certified meteorologist Mallory Nichols is with us, and it is hot.
Yeah, a lot hotter today and less rain. The past few days, Tammy, we've had that widespread shower and storm activity, but this afternoon, we only had a little bit of activity around. And as you check out our temperatures, we were at 95 in Orlando, mid to low 90s all across the board. It was high heat and high humidity. It felt over 100 degrees. Tonight, we'll drop it in the mid to upper 70s under mostly clear skies. Quiet start to our Friday, but we have that chance for just a slight shower storm activity as we head into the afternoon. It's going to be hot and humid. No changes as we head toward the weekend.
In the context of today's report, it's important to look beyond the headline number to understand what's happening.
The latest report from the Bureau of Economic Analysis says the U.S. economy, it is shrinking. The gross domestic product, also known as GDP, fell by 0.09% over the last 3 months. It is the second consecutive decline. Typically, 2 consecutive declining quarters is a signal of a recession. But the White House says numbers are proving to be strong and officials have not declared a financial crisis. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says today's report shows an expansion in consumer spending and net exports.
Our economy remains resilient. Our unemployment rate stands at 3.6%. Household finances are strong, and industrial output continues to grow.
Well, the latest financial report comes a day after the Federal Reserve hiked interest rates by 0.75%. It's a move designed to cool the economy and decrease inflation. Spectrum News 13's Will Robinson-Smith is live for us in Melbourne tonight. I know you spoke with a small business owner and a mortgage lender about the potential impacts. What are they saying?
Yeah, Tammy, well, time will tell if the rate hike increase will have the desired effect that the Fed wants to see. But when speaking with those we talked to today, they say it's a bit of a mixed bag when you look at both the short-term and long-term implications of this.
They say chicken soup is good for the soul. Now was certainly the case for Julie Shipley. Back in the mid-2000s, she wanted to change from her stay-at-home mom lifestyle and began making soup at a cafe in Viera. That led to her opening up her own shop in 2009, the height of another period of economic uncertainty.
Particularly in these times, I feel like I shop all day long every day because my purveyors are often out of some ingredient that we need, and so I'm scrambling online or Kroger or wherever I have to go, Sam's, to get the ingredients that we need.
But inflation has been driving up the cost of these precious soup ingredients, as well as other expenses. Going into the pandemic, Shipley was looking at expansion options, but at this point, she says with the Fed rate increase driving up costs, those plans are on ice, at least for now.
But the mortgage rates were so much lower then that I don't know if I would want to spend the money on that building now because it's going to cost me so much more. So it's definitely slowed the expansion plans.
Joe Harris is the Chief Operations Officer and mortgage loan originator with Morgan Financial in Melbourne. He says the rate increase is not going to tank the housing market like what we saw in 2008, and that housing mortgages won't be drastically higher for new buyers. He says from his perspective, the rate hike will bring down long-term rates on things like mortgages.
Short term, there's going to be higher costs of things like credit cards, student loans, car payments, home equity lines of credits, personal loans, and which will pull back demand. But again, that's all intended to make the long term better. And when you have a long-term better and there's more stability, you're going to see those rates come down just a little bit.
Back at the soup shop, Shipley says she and many other small businesses are in a somewhat survival mode. She's preparing for things to be difficult for the foreseeable future.
I just don't see any rapid improvement coming along. I don't think it's going to be terrible, but I don't think it's going to get great either.
So a bit of a mixed bag, as we said at the top of this story, but as Harris and others have described it, the economy is a large ship, so even with potentially positive tools like what the Fed is doing, it's going to take a while to steer it in the direction it wants. Reporting live in Melbourne, Will Robinson-Smith, Spectrum News.
Thank you, Will. Well, President Biden and his administration, they have been pointing to a number of factors in the economy that don't indicate a recession, like the strong labor market. Joining us live tonight to talk more about that, Dr. Sean Snaith. He's a director from the Institute for Economic Forecasting at the University of Central Florida. Thank you for being with us.
My pleasure.
So what is the state of the economy at this point? What do we need to know?
Well, we released our most recent U.S. forecast a few weeks back, and we're predicting that we are in or very close to a recession. We think it's going to be a shallow recession. We think it's going to be a rather long recession, at least a year, with a pretty mild recovery at the end of that recession. So we're referring to it as the possible recession. So it's shallow sides, a long bottom, and a shallow exit.
All right. Well, with the economy slowing down, the Fed planning to continue to raise interest rates, where do we go from here?
Well, if you want to look at for the silver lining in this possible recession, it's going to help the Fed in its fight against inflation. It's going to help bring down the price of gas and oil. It's going to help solve some of these supply chain issues. So, a lot of the problems that we were facing, a mild recession is going to help to correct those things. And, the labor market is not going to be impacted as severely as, say, in 2020 or in 2008, because we're going into this recession with 11 million job openings. So businesses can cut job openings and nobody loses a paycheck. So we're predicting that the unemployment rate will start to rise by the end of the year, but it's not going to rise as high as we've seen in previous recessions.
All right. Always great to get your perspective, Dr. Snaith. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
For the latest on the economy, everyone, and what it means for your wallet, head to our Spectrum News app. Your Community Connection is available for download from the Apple app and Google Play stores.
It's an opportunity to become familiar with the process and know that your vote is going to count on Election Day.
You might be ready to vote this election season, but will you be able to? Straight ahead, the push from Supervisor of Elections to make sure that your vote will count in the primaries. I want to talk weather too right now. If you spend any time outside today, you already know it's been hot. Let's check in right now with Mallory.
Yeah, and Tammy, nothing is really expected to change over the next several days, although unseasonably low rain chances are going to be sticking around. I'll show you why coming up on your Weather on the Ones.